Boogeyman band coming round the bend. Is Boogeyman band. Is Boogeyman band.
Tribute. Greetings, my fellow Fright Fiends. Thanks so much for stopping by the Horror Zone channel. I hope everyone's doing well. This is part 19 of my quiet little tribute to Salem's Lot series, and in this video I'm going to be focusing on actor Brad Savage, who played Danny Glick. I primarily know Brad Savage from Salem's Lot, but I also remember seeing him in Red Dawn from 1984. And the Danny Glick character was one that was nightmare fuel for me as a kid. Much like Ralphie Glick, although I do feel like Ralphie Glick is a little bit creepier, I think just because he doesn't speak. But I just love the way that the costume that they put Brad Savage in. When he's the character of Danny Glick dies and they bury him, he almost looks like a child Count Dracula. Just the way that the outfit is, the black suit with the white shirt, very, very creepy. And of course, like I said, unlike Ron Scribner, who played Ralphie Glick, Danny Glick actually speaks when he is at Mark's window in that infamous scene, trying to lure him to open the window, very similar to how Danny opened the window for his brother Ralphie. The scene that really establishes how scary this character is the scene where Mike Ryerson, played by the late great Jeffrey Lewis, jumps into the open grave and opens Danny Glick's coffin. Just that image of him opening the coffin and you seeing Danny Glick laying there with the yellow eyes open, not saying anything, just laying there looking at him. Absolutely terrifying. I still think the reaction that Mike has on his face is the reaction that I think every audience member had seeing that. It still freaks me out. And again, why it works so well is because of the elements. You have the music building, and then Mike jumps into the grave, and then it cuts. As soon as he hits the top of the casket and starts pushing the dirt off of it, there's no music. And then all you hear is the sound of him opening that casket and it hitting the side of the hole that they're in, the grave. And then you just see what's looking back at Mike. And then you hear the thunder again, and Mike looks up, and as he looks back, Danny is right there. And I talked about this in other videos, but that jolt, my late grandmother said that was like the scene that scared her so badly. That and when Ralphie is abducted in the woods earlier in the film. But that moment and just the look on Brad Savage's face, Danny Glick biting Mike and starting the chain of events that will eventually carry through the town, I think is so effective. And we only see a couple of scenes with Danny as a vampire. I think it's utilized very sparse, but very effectively. We have the scene in the grave, we have the scene at Mark's window. Then the only other time you really see Danny Glick is when Ben and Mark get into the root cellar of the Marston house to drag out Barlow's coffin to stake him. That's the one time you see Ralphie and Danny Glick laying side by side. Yeah, I think Brad Savage did a great job in the film. And there's not a lot of interviews that I could find with the actor. I've actually reached out to him a couple times because my buddies, that being Sam Straub, Danny Evans, and of course Ian Bolton, who runs Salem's Lot Then and Now, we call ourselves the Salem's Lot Minority. And Danny has done some terrific interviews with many of the actors from the film that are still with us. I was hoping that maybe we could get an interview with Brad Savage, and it just didn't happen. I just never was able to get in touch with him, no matter how many times I kind of tried. And I didn't try like too much, but I thought it would have been cool if we could have been able to talk to him. And I was also trying to get an event together last year to celebrate the 45th anniversary of the film, and I was trying to get a hold of him then. So just didn't work out. But I'm really happy to pay tribute to this actor right now. I'm going to go through his history in the business as a child actor, what he's doing now, and then I'll come back with my closing thoughts, and I hope everyone enjoys this. And Brad Savage was born in Livonia, Michigan in 1965. His mother, Judy, became a talent agent after Brad began his career acting. His sister, Tracy Savage, who is also an actor, people may remember her as Debbie in Friday the 13th Part 3. While known for Red Dawn, Savage also appeared in many television shows in the 1970s and 80s, including Salem's Lot, Chips, Mork and Mindy, Emergency, Fantasy Island, and The Love Boat. He appeared in several other films, including 2 Minute Warning, The Apple Dumpling Gang, Echoes of Summer, No Deposit, No Return, Return from Witch Mountain, and The Islands of Stream. Attended CSUN, was the lead singer in the band Fashion Risk, then played bass and sang for the power rock trio Big Boy Combo. He worked as a runner on the TV show Alf, and then as a post-production coordinator for Patchett Kaufman Entertainment, then freelanced on some other made-for-television movies. He became interested in film editing and saw that as a more stable career as he was starting a family. In April of 1992, began working in motion picture marketing. He worked for the in-house trailer department at Universal, where he began to edit trailers and TV spots. From 1999 to 2005, he owned a boutique trailer post-production company with partner David Friedman in Hollywood called Flash Frame. They created advertising materials for the major studios as well as independent companies. Flash Frame also created main title sequences for film and television. After producing AV materials for BLT, one of the top movie marketing firms in Hollywood, he returned to Universal as a VP in their in-house trailer department. In 2011, he co-founded production company Bandwagon Media. They create and produce all forms of content from film and TV to marketing and digital. Brad also owns and operates the Woodshed Studios in North Hollywood, California. And about 7 years ago, Brad actually did an interview with this podcast called Geek Antics Foundry. So this is going back 7 years, so this is going back to 2018. And he talked about some things about Salem's Lot that I haven't been able to find out anywhere else. So it was really a very in-depth interview. Most of the interviews I've seen with Brad, he's talking about Red Dawn or the Apple Dumpling Gang or things like that. But this was the first time he really went in depth with some of the stuff from Salem's Lot. He talked about the fact that him and Ron Scribner were sort of instructed to watch a movie called The Other. That film was kind of like an inspiration for them in terms of how the brothers were connected once they became vampires. He also talked about, which I thought was interesting, going to makeup artist Ben Lane's Santa Monica apartment to be fitted for his fangs. He said that David Soul was really nice because the people running the podcast asked him about David Soul and Bonnie Bedelia. And he said Bonnie Bedelia was very nice, and he did hint, and this is something that, has been talked about in other, in other mediums as well, that Bonnie Bedelia and Tobe Hooper were apparently dating when the movie was being filmed. With regards to the context, he said they were hard as plastic, and they had to put eye drops, and they could only shoot for like 90 seconds. So they would put the contacts in, do the eye drops, do the scene for like 90 seconds, then they would have to take the contacts out again. The other thing that he talked about, and this is something that, of course, you notice if you watch the film, he talks about the fact that, when he's in the scene with Lance Kerwin, he's at the window, and he was saying that the rig that he was supposed to use broke. So they had to put him on this camera mount on a dolly. So that's why he's sitting. And you can tell he's sitting when he floats back. When Mark repels him with the cross, he floats back from the window, and you can see his legs sort of kicking out because he was actually sitting on something, as opposed to Ron, who's on the boom crane that was going up and down. And with Brad, it was floating backwards, and you can see him sitting. So that's why that happened. So I thought those are some really cool highlights from that podcast. I will put a link down below to it if people want to check it out. But those are the things I picked up on. Really an honor to be able to talk about the amazing work that Brad Savage did. Like I said, I respected him from Salem's Lot. I also love seeing him in Red Dawn, where he also played a character named Danny. Red Dawn was another film that really terrified me as a kid, just because the thoughts of a world war. And I was really young when I saw that film. I was about 11 years old when I saw it, and I used to really freak out. I used to look out and make sure I didn't see people parachuting into my school. It would freak me out every time I'd see that scene in the movie. But he did a great job in that film. He's a great actor. I wish him nothing but success through his career now, and best to him and his family. And I'm so grateful that he played this iconic part that has been an important part of my life since I first saw it back when I was 5 years old. It was one of the contributors to my first scares as a kid that I remember very fondly and vividly. So thank you, Brad Savage, and thank you everyone for watching. I hope everyone's doing well, and I promise I'll talk to you again real soon. Take it easy, stay scared as always, and remember, you can do nothing against the master. Peace.